It's all sacred. It's all your creation. The more you honor that concept, the more you connect to it with reverence, that is the earth that we are giving birth to. There is no system that is outside of us. The system is you. The system is how you relate. Relate with reverence. So that is, I believe, is the ultimate feminine principle. To understand that you are magnificently wired to give birth any second to anything, anyone, any system, any future or past concept. So if anything is you believe is wrong, not supposed to be, then make peace with it. And probably you will trace it back to a part of yourself that you are rejecting, you are denying. You deserve to be whole. We deserve to be whole. We deserve to be here. We are here to belong, to be whole. And we can start by accepting our wholeness. To me, that is feminine principle, that unconditional love.
Hi, I'm Rudy, and this is Voices of Emergence. Together with my co-host Alex de Carvalho, we're honored to welcome Canay Atalay. Canay is a pioneer at the intersection of business, culture, and planetary regeneration. As founder of the RX Innovation Institute and architect of the RX Codes, Canay has developed a systematic framework that helps Fortune 500 companies and governments redesign their operating systems around regenerative business models, cultural transformation, and AI integration. She also curates Heartmasters Ibiza, an annual executive gathering that brings leaders into deep personal and organizational renewal. And through the Heroines, the first business design collective created by women, for women, she advances feminine leadership methodologies that are reshaping innovation in this time of great transition. Her influence extends through her Harvard Business Review podcast, Regenerative Innovation with Canay, which is available in Turkish and English, and her publications where she translates complex systems thinking into actionable business strategy that transcends traditional silos. Recognized as a leading voice in regenerative innovation, Canay's mission is clear: to upgrade operating systems of global business and create economies that regenerate through conscious design. Welcome, Canay, and we're going to dive in immediately with the first question. When you hear the word emergence, what awakens in you?
A humble surrender and acceptance of what is.
That's beautiful, Canay. Good to see you. You often describe yourself as regenerative innovation architect. My question is, what life experiences have shaped this role, and were there any important turning points to get you here?
Thank you. It's great to see you guys. Thank you for inviting me. Great to be here. I think my entire life has shaped me being here. So it's amazing. My life, many lives. But why architect? Because I'm not an architect by discipline. From my university training, I'm trained in business administration and marketing. But since childhood, I have been noticing the way we talk about things, the way we use words, the way we assume what is normal, most of the time has been carrying the problems that were giving birth to more problems. That's why when we talk about innovation, architecting the mind, the way we think about innovation makes sense. That's why I came up with the idea of codes, where we focus on some of the most used concepts, from design to health to circulation to governance, is a good way to reimagine what is innovation, what are we doing here, and how we are gonna lead a future that is at least in harmony with living systems. It just makes sense. Some of the most important things that have shaped my life has been, my mom is a doctor, my father is a pharmacist, and I was the youngest product manager in pharmaceutical industry in Turkey. And what we call health and health industry, I have witnessed over decades, has been the sickness industry. Instead of creating more health and well-being as a field of coherence, as where people are inspired to take better care of their own and each other's health and well-being, we have focused on creating business models that treated symptoms and created more symptoms and longer term sicknesses that slowly made us less than human, I'm going to call it, because I don't think we even scratched the surface of what it means to be human. And then I moved to, after noticing these things, I wanted to innovate really good, and technology has attracted my attention. And when I started working in the media technology, I came up with the same thing. We thought we were creating cultures, we were creating communication that people would love. But in my media technology company, I noticed we were just selling more sugary drinks and detergents, especially at times when it was not even needed. So especially after giving birth to my first and second daughter, I mean, if you are interviewing women who give birth, ask this question, probably it's the same milestone. This is my experience, and this is what I'm observing at least. Women, when we give birth, we have this thunderstrike, as if somebody removes the curtain in front of our eyes, and we start seeing the connection of everything. So giving birth and becoming a mother has been the greatest privilege and milestone of my life, where I decided, no matter what I do, I ask one question, and this is what I decided to do. Is this good for my children? Do I want my children to grow up with this communication, with this product, with this service, with this community, in this sort of a city design? If the answer is yes, I go ahead. If the answer is no, there are two more questions. Can I do something about it? If yes, I do my best. If it's a no, I switch my position. So this has been my milestone, and I believe architecting a world, a future, a human system, a design process based on prioritizing the well-being of children, not just human, not just ours, but entire living systems, children, because we are all children first, has been shaping my life. And it's a very simple question. I don't think you need to be a parent to know the answer to it. We all can relate to it because we know what it means to be a child. And other things, obviously, I can't tell you 100 things, but I have been blessed to be guided with so many wisdom teachers, so many practices, from psychological kinesiology to Socratic dialogues to plant medicine to meditation, breath work, psychological kinesiology, regression therapies. I mean, you name it, probably I have touched it somewhere, and probably I have been trained if I am passionate about it. But one thing leads to another. What I would like to say, when you follow the path of prayer, I would like to call it, I believe prayer is a technology. It's a way to communicate with life. Then the next thing unfolds. You ask me what I understand about emergence. Emergence is listening and surrendering, but it requires us to be ready for the next step. So when you are ready, every step becomes a medicine, and this is the technology I'm using. Another milestone is moving to Ibiza. Ibiza has been a blessing in my life the last 8 years. I'm here now with my daughters, 2 teenager daughters. And I mean, this is the island of black sheep, and it gives me so much joy to be a part of a community where what a lot of cultures might find extreme, where science has proved to be true, such as quantum mechanics, is an everyday language and a street conversation here. So I truly enjoy being in a community where we can keep on feeding each other. I'm going to stop here because I can tell like 100 things. I have unlimited gratitude to my life.
Yes, Chennai, please leave some question time for us, so you go very fast. Before we go to Ibiza, I wanted to dive in a bit deeper on, your cultural heritage, like your Turkish cultural heritage and especially Sufi culture. You know, I spent part of my life together with you in Turkey. And I remember, you know, the Sufi culture is such an amazing culture that is not very well known. And everybody talks about indigenous cultures and all that. And that's great, of course. But I think Sufi culture carries a lot of wisdom. And I can always see that also in your work and in other Turkish friends, you know, that are working or doing work into, this field. They carry this kind of inner wisdom. And so, but I want to know also or hear about you, like, how did you become that independent woman? You know, like, because you had to break out also of, like, let's say, a pretty it's Islamic culture or patriarchal culture. And then how did you move from those steps and then ended up in regeneration? You mentioned already some of them, but I wanted to hear a bit really from the Turkish perspective, like before you went out to Ibiza.
Thank you so much for asking this question, Rudy. I mean, you have witnessed very closely. We were in it together. Um, you're right. There is a side to Muslim culture. The way that Islam is interpreted has many sides to it. On one extreme, it is very suppressive, very patriarchal. We see a lot of conflict in my country and around the world across religions. Fundamentalism is a big issue. On the other side of Islam, Islam means peace. And one of the ways that is beautifully interpreted and applied is the codes of Sufism. Sufism is the belief of divine love that is very inclusive. Rumi says, come, come, whoever you are. That is the basis of Sufism. And one thing that Sufism actually ties to also regeneration, which is the reason we are here together, but also the focus of my work, it is very related to regeneration. So both concepts of death, for example, is a celebration in Sufism. The death day is the marriage day where you come together with the divine lover who is Allah, the creator. So we are not scared of dying. We are not scared of pain or suffering. We understand that these are important opportunities, gifts to be initiated to your next version, and you don't come alive without dying to that old version. It's a lot of shadow work, it's a lot of surrender, and it's a lot of training with discipline in understanding even judgment of another, thinking that we are better than the other. You see one, let's say, a dictator doing terrible things on the other side of the world, and it hurts. But when you start claiming that, oh, how terrible, how can this be? May him die. This is like against Sufism. In Sufism, you understand everything comes from Creator. There is nothing but Allah. And when you say this shall not be, you actually are not on the path, at least not open-hearted. So it's a very deep knowledge, very deep wisdom, not easy to apply all the time. It requires a lot of burning inside. And I have been in contact with a lot of Sufi masters, and it requires a lot of humbleness to an extent that it is actually not my place to talk about Sufism, but I can talk about the way I am applying it. Keeping the heart open, no matter what happens, being compassionate, being gentle, being kind with yourself and with others, and understanding every step is as sacred, is as important as what you believe is the ultimate goal, is a part of the Sufi path. There is a whirling practice, as you know, and in the whirling, one hand gets from the creator, from the divine, and the other hand gives to the earth. And by being centered, while whirling, everything is turning and transforming and changing around you, which is dizziness, and you want to stop, but you cannot control anything. And the only thing you can control is to center yourself in the midst of all of it, find your ground, and understand this divine whirling is happening by you participating in it is actually a very good practice I can share, especially in the midst of transformation that we are all going through. We are supposed to whirl, not get dizzy and fall down. Even if we do, the job is not to curse to the transformation and the dizziness, but to find your ground and start dancing with the divine. And never forget, whatever you get, you give. And whatever you give, you also receive. You are in the middle of it. Some of the Sufi practices we have been participating, singing is very important, music is very important. But also in the Heart Masters that I have been hosting the last couple of years, and next year in October in Ibiza, we are going to do the 7th version. There's always some sort of Sufism sneaking in. We call it Ancestors Are With Us. Rumi is a guide that I feel his presence a lot. That's why I like sharing his poems, his poetry, his quotes in my work, in my talks, in my videos, in my newsletters a lot. Because a lot of these guardians, a lot of these guides have walked this path, and they have left us, inherited us codes that we can, by just remembering, can awaken and regenerate how we are thinking and how we are doing innovation. In our land also, it's not just Rumi, but for example, Virgin Mary. You know, it's not just Islam, but a lot of religions have passed through Anatolia, through where now we know as Turkey. So it is the cultural integration of all these different lineages, different masters and masterings. Sufism, I think, is something that we can all connect to. It is not a religion, but it's a beautiful practice like Kabbalah. And I believe these invitations are very important, especially at the times of conflict, because in the end, they are all invitations to love and peace. Zikr, which is the breath work, is also very important. I think Sufism has touched to quantum reality through the frequency of music, our chants, and zikr. You become breathless, and in that breathlessness, you extend the time and space and this physical reality, almost like Joe Dispenza meditations. So there's a lot to discover there. I am not a practitioner of Sufism, not a teacher. I'm a learner myself. But in our presence through my culture, I believe and I hope, and it's my intention to bring some of these codes in our presence by practicing it ourselves.
That's very inspirational. I love Rumi, and Sufism is very deep. I mean, at the esoteric level, it's all of these systems come together: Kabbalah, Sufism, esoteric Christianity, it all Hinduism, it all kind of comes together. Let's stay with this a little bit. This idea of collapse as initiation. And right now in the world, we're seeing massive transformation. Like something is collapsing, like the old world or the old system is collapsing, and something new wants to emerge. I mean, this is the reason that Rudy and I created this podcast, Voices of Emergence, is to see, what are the seeds that have been planted, and what are the trees, what is the next forest that's going to emerge from this period of, let's say, change or collapse. So my question is, we live our individual lives, but we're also part of the collective. So we might have our own goals and ambitions, but we're also very much going along with what's happening in society. And we kind of have to dance with our times. We can't just do our own thing because we're also taken by the wave of society. So my question is, was there a turning point in your own life, kind of like a collapse or initiation that took you from business as usual into regeneration? And what lessons do you have then from that for the collective time we're going through now?
Thank you, Alex, for this beautiful question. Um, yeah, I think the biggest shift I had over the years, and each time this happens, it happens on another layer, is to understand that we are the ones who are seeing things. So what you see as a world, what you see as a society, what you claim as this is what takes us despite our will. I ask myself, in order to think like this, what is my assumption about who I am? Who are we? If this is what you are observing, what is your assumption about who we are as humanity, as Alex, as Janai, as innovation leaders? Because everything else is being built on that program. That's why recoding, I talk about recoding. My biggest collapses happened through really what would scare a lot of people, facing my biggest fears, either through a divorce process, either through a bankruptcy, either through some fear that I wanted to avoid. But when I face things and I understand, oh, this is my own doing, I'm still here. That gives me a lot of awakening. The last couple of years, what I'm practicing, Janai, humanity, let's don't wait until a huge collapse happens. Let's practice this on a daily basis. And there are two simple questions. What do I want? What is good for me? And what is good for us? We are so obsessed with saying, oh, it's collapsing. Yeah, but are we really dreaming what we want? As much as we are talking about what we don't want, are we paying attention to all the beauty, all the amazing things that are happening right now, as much as we are paying attention to all the scary scenarios that might happen? I'm not talking about sugarcoating what is. I'm talking about seeing the reality as is. There is no way the negative side is bigger than the positive side. The system doesn't work like that. Based on first principles, they need to be equal. So if you tell me, Janai, this is collapsing, this is horrible, okay? I'm going to ask you, what is emerging, what is amazing? And then what are we doing about it? How am I participating in it? In my life, I have always won extremely well, either immediately or later or in a couple of years, when I put my attention, what do I want? What is good for me? What is good for us? And then what can I do about it? Because no one, nothing created is given a challenge that is not relevant to them. This is relevant to us. And it's not relevant for us to fix it outside of us, but to evolve ourselves, to be in harmony with what is happening instead of complaining, nagging about it, and then assigning the responsibility to society, to economies, to that president. I really am not participating in that anymore. I take full and radical responsibility. I don't think anything is happening to me outside of my participation in it. Even a little chit-chat that I receive from a person is somehow my kind of co-creation and participation in it. And I believe it is time to go beyond this guilt and blame loop. It is good to feel a little bit ashamed, a little bit guilty, so that we can process those emotions. But we are here to activate a bigger potential that is not going to flourish on an unhealthy soil of blame, shame, guilt. I mean, every moment is a new moment. And I invite us, no matter who we are, no matter what we are doing, no matter what we have done or have not done in the past, this is the moment to come alive and see the opportunity, see the possibility. And even in the midst of the most horrific, terrible, scary thing, and I know and I feel I'm a mother of two, what is happening in the world hurts my heart, it hurts my skin. But thanks God, I have a heart, I have a skin, and I can feel. There is a reason that this billions of years of intelligence is gifted to me so I can do something about it. Let's don't just hide from our own power. I know it's not easy to take responsibility, but guess what? It always pays off. It always pays off. One thing that really transformed me, I wholeheartedly recommend to everyone, no matter what your capacity is, start moving your body. Even if you have some limitations, even if you are, whatever is happening, move your finger. Imagine moving your body. And if you're healthy and well, go out, bulk, run, use this body. People ask, oh, everything is collapsing. What are we gonna do with the AI? I'm like, go to the gym. Because some of the things that are gifted to us, this base, this soil, if we make it healthy, then the entire system, when you start moving with it, starts supporting you. You start thinking better, you start communicating better, and then you start engaging with AI better. So do what you can. And then do not worry too much about the things you're not doing because you're not supposed to do them. If you were, you would be doing them. And another thing about emergence and surrender, and we talked about Sufism, and like I teach also about feminine principles. I teach myself and my 2 teenager daughters too. A lot of the time we think surrender or emergence, these are like passive things. It's quite the opposite. In order to uncondition yourself from participating from a conditioned reactive state to what is happening, it requires a lot of training. That's why training the body is a very important part of it. Having challenges every day to break through your conditioning so that you can allow life to guide you with its full power is quite a journey. And I believe we are all here, we are all initiated to be a better humanity, not because what is bad, because what is happening is so delicious.
I love the way you say that word, delicious.
Thanks to but I can
So,
make analogies. AI doesn't know that yet.
yeah. So, yeah, they say the bigger the chaos, the bigger the opportunity and abundance also that will come after that chaos. And we need chaos to create also. But what I'm interested in also is when we met, I think, which is now what, 9 years ago or something, we were still in that startup linear framework, like building startup canvases, everything within a framework, and it has to work like this, very linear. And if you do it like this, it's going to work. And most of the time it worked. And then the move towards regeneration, which is a very cyclical move, we go more with the flows, ebb and flow of water, the flows of life, the wind, how life is carrying us, like the moon and the sun and everything. So what is this? I know you're working on this Regenerative Innovation Institute, and I wanted to know, like, how do you see, like, moving business-wise, like in this way from linear towards more cyclical, and how does that translate, like in practice, for startups, for entrepreneurs, for organizations, businesses, and yeah, please.
Thank you, Rodrigo. So I was running one of the biggest of design consultancies in the world. And there I became a business model designer using business model design canvas. And what I have noticed is that every canvas started with how are we going to maximize revenues, decrease costs, how are we going to sell it to the people? And I'm like, something is missing here. This is like 10 years ago. Where is what is important for us? Like I keep on asking what is good for me, what is good for us. It was missing in the canvas. So the basic assumption where everything operates still to this date is like, okay, profit, growth, cost decrease, this is it. And then we see it's not working anymore. I'm like, okay, I want to innovate this. So I came up with an iteration of it called conscious business design. And conscious business design was not about putting some post-its on a canvas, but inviting the designer to be more conscious about what they are doing, which started with a value system. What are your values? Not just, oh, I care about health. Okay, what does health mean to you? How are you really helping others with that value? How is it really visible in your work? how health and well-being is already operating that is beyond you, which is kind of the emerging field that you are also championing and pioneering with your communication. But the real deal, which I believe is also the heart of regeneration and creation, is what does it mean I'm health? And I'm bringing health to wherever I go. So there is no more silo thinking I'm separate than, so I am health. And when I'm health and well-being, as a leader, as a company, as a business, what am I bringing? So it really shifts the way we are thinking about ourselves. So that is consciousness. And then what am I doing with it? If I'm health and well-being, I'm not going to go and create systems that are eventually going to hurt the children of this planet or the future. If I'm health and well-being, I'm not going to go fight for health. I'm going to bring health wherever I go. So with this model, this value proposition, everything becomes not just cyclical, but one. And the other thing that it actually transforms is most of the businesses operate from lack. That's why we are focused on competitive analysis. We are focusing on, we need to be on top of things, control things. I'm not saying control is a bad thing. When I'm using words, they have both sides. There is no bad or good in my thinking when I'm conscious. So it's both sides. But when you are too obsessed with control and you cannot let go, why? Because you are scared. Why are you scared? First, you are separate, then nature, then the other. And then second, there is lack of things, which we know with quantum mechanics, with science, are both illusions. And I can tell you 99% of all business design, all models are based on these two wrong assumptions. And now with conscious business design, regenerative business design, whatever you want to call it, what we are bringing to corporations with RX Innovation Institute is first to start with those viruses that actually contaminate the way we are thinking about innovation. First of all, we are in this together, aren't we? I'm an expression of life. We are doing this together, not just as human species, but as expressions of life. So this is the first thing. So you don't just think as a silo for your company, for your leadership, but you think in ecosystems, in bioregions for planetary health and well-being, but still you act as one. Like you do what you need to do, but you think about us as well. The second thing, there is no lack. Actually, we are not lacking technology. We are not lacking money. We are not lacking well-being. We are not lacking food. We are not lacking anything. But the scarcity thinking creates those models, ripples, more lack. Why children need to starve? There is no need for that. There is no ration behind it. Why are we destroying our futures by truly creating conflict? It's all silo thinking. It's all lack thinking. There is no need to create these business models as we heal, as we really transform these two viruses from our system. And it's so sneaky, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And what my intention, our intention with our collective, with RX Innovation Institute, is to transform this on three pillars. One is cultural transformation. I have authored something called RX Codes, and these codes are really transforming the way we are thinking about innovation and how we can not just think, but also apply cultures that are more coherent with life-affirming practices within us, with the planet, but also in the language of business. Sometimes when we are talking about regenerative cultures, when we are talking about quantum mechanics, when we are talking about ancient practices, it really doesn't resonate to business mind. I believe we need to meet each other. That's why bridging these concepts to business reality. For me, for example, I love profit. I love growth. I love competition. I'm not against competition. I think competition is a great tool to collaborate better for life. So all these things can be harmonized together. And I created a program called RX on Board, which Rudy, we have done the first together. Now with the RX codes, it is ready to transform corporate cultures on 9 plus 1, 10 codes, consciousness code being the meta code, the zero code. And it's a training, it's workshops from Socratic dialogues to constellation work for business to communication, re-narrating how we perceive ourselves, our company, to breathwork sessions. It's a lot of transformation that is available with the program, as well as there are many tools and opportunities. So this is one pillar, cultural transformation. The second pillar, which I love, is our dearest AI, but this time in the right relationship. Human agency is what we focus on, and using AI as a support and enhancer of what is good for us, and prioritizing the human creativity, the imagination for good scenarios, while creating efficiency optimization with amazing results that we can actually practice connecting the dots with AI is the other program that we are doing. I personally guide C-levels and board members to onboard to AI because there's a lot of noise around it. And I love guiding leaders to use AI for their personal and business life, first for themselves and for their organizational transformation, with also our partners around the world, is the other transition. Because when you create the right relationship from the beginning, then it's not difficult to imagine AI actually can really show us what today's decisions can, and we can simulate these, how it's going to affect the water of your city, how it's going to affect the future of the children in your audience, how it's going to affect the collaboration opportunities with the ecosystem partners for the planet. We can all simulate this conversation. We can connect data points that were not available or possible, even imaginable before AI. So I really am so excited and so looking forward to the time that we are going through. So this is the second pillar we are working on. And the third pillar is the business design and the economies, token economics of it, with nature-based assets, with Bitcoin, with blockchain. And there is unlimited abundance is possible. And the old monetary thinking is collapsing. So now there's a lot of financial abundance. We can create and connect these three pillars, the cultural transformation, AI, and the economies. And I like to call it, we are recoding and upgrading the operating system of corporations. Why corporations? I mean, because most of the decisions are made in boardrooms that are not open to many communities. And one of my intentions is also to bring, through our governance code, to bring nature, youth, women, and more ecosystem partners, communities, unheard voices to the boards, to the governance systems, and making it visible, making it truly an unlearning and relearning journey for all of us. I talk a lot because you ask big questions, but feel free to just stop me or digest it to smaller chunks.
Well, I think this idea of recoding the mind is so important because we're kind of programmed or conditioned into these ways of thinking. And even the word economy, like we live in the economy, but that word economy means economizing, scarcity, Like imagine if we had grown up thinking we live in the abundance, but that's not what it's called. Like the financial markets, it's called the economy. So everybody, all of humanity lives in an economy. So even like from the earliest age, we're programmed into the scarcity thinking. So there's such an importance of recoding the mind, like the new storytelling of who we are and what is this planet. This planet is a planet of abundance, not scarcity. We created systems of economy and scarcity on a planet of abundance. Isn't that incredible? So, it feels really important, your work of helping people to see this, to become aware of this, to recode the mind, because otherwise market realities come back, and you want to create systemic change, but there's, the quarterly profits, the quarterly objectives, the quarterly deadline. And so how do you balance the systemic change with the quarterly, priorities? But what seems, also important is that you come from the feminine. You have a lot of feminine energy. You've created the Heroines, which is a woman business design collective. Do you feel that there are certain like feminine leadership methodologies that are important or complement or are different from masculine? How do you bring the feminine into this work?
Oh, beautiful question. Thank you so much. Well, so what is feminine? A lot of people think feminine is soft and gentle and, to me, it's quite the opposite. Feminine is fiery, it's chaos, it's just destructive. Have you seen a woman giving birth? Like, let's start from there, okay? Like, it's immense power to the extent that you die to a version of yourself to be the mother of another. It's immense power. It's the ultimate power I believe humanity can ever carry, the womb, the creation. And I love to think this is the era we are going through, is the era of matrescence, the initiation to motherhood. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman or however you identify yourself, you feel about yourself. This is the age of matrescence for humanity. What does it mean? It means being responsible of our own creations. Whether it's a child, whether it's a business model, whether it's a product, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a LinkedIn post, are you being responsible? Are you doing it with love? Are you becoming the mother of not just giving birth, putting it out there, but also growing it? Making sure that those relationships are fair relationships? Are you really carrying that responsibility? So for me, feminine principles are not just like softness, gentleness, which are great PowerPoints, by the way. They are softness in a world of conflict, in a world of blame, in a world of violence, is an immense power. I read somewhere the other day, kindness to another is lending your power they are lacking at that moment for that given situation. If I'm being kind, if I'm being soft and gentle, it means I'm carrying the power and I'm enabling you or the platform with that power. Feminine principle is a lot about unconditioning yourself. We can power through or we can do to create a result. Feminine is about being in contact with the nature's principles, with this amazing, not when I say nature, I mean creation. I'm not just talking about forests and the waters. I'm talking about the entire creation that gave birth to also that. And feminine principle is understanding that we are not silo mini-me's. We are in this together. There is a web of connections. So even sometimes when I use the power as a word, I'd rather use the word strength, because strength emerges in the connections. Rudy called me, you're an independent woman. Actually, my freedom comes thanks to my relationships. So I'm a very interdependent, the system is elevating us, like receiving and giving in the whirling example. So how are we going to relax into seeing those relationships requires a lot of unconditioning. The feminine principle is first to get in touch with your own presence, own being, whether it's, for example, when I work with women, we honor our menstruation cycles. We honor our premenopause, menopause processes, because most of the time the systems doesn't allow those cyclical nature of woman, of nature, of moon cycles. And when we just pay attention, my hormones are changing. I'm in harmony with the moon. It's new moon, it's full moon. it really changes a lot of things in your being, because then you're not just using your own power, but you are harmonizing with a greater power. That's the strength, right? It's like, imagine you are doing windsurfing and you are holding the surf and you are trying to go always on the same direction. This is business world. No, listen to the wind, look at the waves, and then enjoy it. Like, use your body as a part of a bigger system. Feminine principles also reclaims pleasure. Pleasure to be here, pleasure to be alive, pleasure to my body, pleasure to the taste of this drink, of this food, pleasure to see you, that gratitude. And it activates the taste of things, which in the taste, there is joy of being. And in the joy of being, we create connections that create resilience in the system. A lot of the times we see things transactional, right? In business world, especially, or like, I post something, how many likes I received, how much money I made out of it, blah, blah. Whereas with the feminine principles, it's bigger than that. So that pleasure, that connection, that joy creates a different set of metrics. And those metrics are not coming from the mental space. We like to call them as signals. Signals that we are actually unconditioning ourselves to appreciate and to start prioritizing in our value systems. It is very important to really appreciate the cycles, to the humbleness, to understand there is a bigger magnificence to your being, that you're just scratching the surface, but also caring for the relationship with yourself, with others, with the past and the future. That nourishing, nurturing qualities of feminine principles, I believe, are not just soft skills, but essentials to our survival. Another topic, when you start respecting the feminine, the mother, the womb, where you are coming from, you are respecting your own being. When you start respecting the mother, the motherland, where you are coming from, Mother Nature, Earth as a mother, then it creates a relationship of reverence. And in that reverence, you understand the water that I'm drinking is coming from a source that is a gift to me. And you don't take it for granted. If you bless a glass of water while drinking, next time in your business model, you will include how this is affecting the water systems in the world. If I'm Nestle, if I'm Unilever, or if I'm just have a factory, or if I have a little office. So all businesses can integrate feminine principles, and it's like a golden thread. It's never ending, Alex, really, you know it. Like, when you start taking one step, it just keeps on growing. And the beauty of feminine principles is that it is all uniquely gifted to us. It is for us to discover how we can really connect to that mother within us, and mother, the earth systems, and how we can find our unique expressions, that creativity, that joy, without reducing everything to the mind, which I love mind, by the way. I love ration, I love mind, I love KPIs, I love goals, because without the masculine, that structure, feminine sometimes is too floaty. We need both. I'm very masculine at the same time. Ask Renee. That's why we need both. But one thing, so important, people think, I'm a woman, so my feminine needs to be like that. My masculine needs to be like that. You are both men, right? But as humans, we give birth to concepts. So we are all mothers, actually, mothers and fathers. When I look at Alex and I have a concept, a white male at this age from US, living in Miami, I give birth to a version of manhood in my being. That's why the mind work is very important. If you want, like, I really invite not just men to respect women, but women to respect men. Please. Because when we give birth to a version of man, men are like that, women are like that, feminine principle. No, it's all sacred. It's all your creation. The more you honor that concept, the more you connect to it with reverence, that is the earth that we are giving birth to. There is no system that is outside of us. The system is you. The system is how you relate. Relate with reverence. So that is, I believe, is the ultimate feminine principle. To understand that you are magnificently wired to give birth any second to anything, anyone, any system, any future or past concept. So if anything is you believe is wrong, not supposed to be, then make peace with it. And probably you will trace it back to a part of yourself that you are rejecting, you are denying. You deserve to be whole. We deserve to be whole. We deserve to be here. We are here to belong, to be whole. And we can start by accepting our wholeness. To me, that is feminine principle, that unconditional love. Yeah.
Thank you, Janai, for explaining this so beautifully. So, but when I look at the world, as you say, we can see the world as we want, but, there is a lot of roughness, hardness, toughness, which is, to me, it's the end of the paternalistic system. That is basically, it needs the feminine energy to go back or move back in balance. And because women also have been adapting over the last decades in that masculine system, a lot of women also carry a lot of masculine energy. And so the man, or most men that I know, they just got to know like what it is to become vulnerable, what it is also to embrace their feminine side, so, and I don't want to, put things in boxes like you're masculine and he's feminine and this and that. No, it's a dance. But we both need a balance within of both energies in order to dance again within that polarity. And so for me, most of the leadership, and I want to go back to that feminine or female leadership, is like most of the inspiring people that I see around me are feminine or women. And they are usually women also who have done the work of integrating both feminine and masculine. Yeah, because I also see a lot of women who are too much in the masculine still. Yeah. And there's a lot of men also who are too much in the feminine, we can say. And that has all its historical logic why we got here. But I think now more than ever, as you mentioned, these qualities like kindness, compassion, and, softness, not as a weakness, but it's a strength, is what the world needs more of. And so I wonder how I also perhaps can bring that back or tie that towards Ibiza, which is a very feminine island, and where you do also heart masters and where you live. So how does that actually, how do you weave that energy towards like really like this very masculine world?
I believe there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of concepts that we keep on repeating, and some silence. Silence to the real wisdom, listening to the real wisdom is a great way to start. A lot of my work, my imitation, also a lot of practices we do in Ibiza, a lot of practices we are bringing to corporations, also applying in Heart Masters, requires tuning into the silence and listening to the subtler melodies and tones that are actually very wise. The moment we believe we need to shout, the moment we believe we need to talk a lot, I believe is the moment we forget that the real wisdom is already here. The way we speak about masculine sometimes hurts me, because I believe masculine is a very beautiful, sacred energy. A river doesn't flow smoothly, peacefully without the banks. As you said, honoring each other, being together like a dance is very important. Ibiza, the feminine principles are very visible. It is a beautiful island where women can express themselves in their own colors without any threat, without any danger. Growing up and experiencing different cultures in Turkey and around the world, I know and appreciate the privilege of being here. Growing my two daughters here has been such a great blessing for me. My heart goes for all the women who are suppressed, silenced, threatened, tortured, and murdered just because of their gender. And we are doing it to ourselves. It's not a man versus woman thing. When we hurt one, we hurt all of us because we are in this together. One thing I deeply believe is it is time for women to stop silencing and torturing ourselves. A lot of the amazing women leaders that I know of, and the ones who are willing to be there and not daring to be there, we are doing it also to ourselves. For example, when it comes to really talking about what we are doing, selling our services with pride, or promoting ourselves, or appreciating the gifts that we have, a lot of women are shy about it. Some call it the rich one, some call it it's still not accepted. But I really question. I look at my lineage, my ancestors who have gone through so many suffering, so many limitations. Although my country is one of the first who gave right to vote to women, still in all countries, and still to this date, I mean, we are still talking about women and men having equal pay in 50 years, according to McKinsey. Like how crazy that is. We are still talking about it, and this is what we are doing. But I say, our ancestors have not suffered, and the women in Afghanistan, in Iran, they are not suffering for women like myself, women who have the privilege to be out there to do what they want to do without any threat or danger, to reduce ourselves. So the ones who have the privilege, you're not just doing it for yourself, you are doing it for all women, for entire humanity. So we owe it, we owe it to our power to give birth to a way of feminine leadership, both through women, but also both through men. And the man allies are very important in this work because it is not easy. You know, there's this little fear where we start speaking highly about ourselves or each other. There's still like a little bit of shame and shyness. When men give space to women, you don't need to even speak about it. Just like be silent when a woman is speaking sometimes. When you feel like you are judging a woman, stop it. It will make wonders in the space because women are also very intuitive. We are very sensitive to a lot of energies. For example, right now I'm looking at Zoom. You know what I'm doing? I'm trying to look both of your faces at the same time. This is called Zoom fatigue. And this service is not designed for women. It's designed for men because it turns out man has a tendency to look at their face, whereas woman has a tendency to check all the room and if everybody is okay. So it gives more fatigue to women than men. You don't know these subtle differences, which I'm not saying let's know, but let's be aware. Why am I working with women, for entire humanity? Because these are the sensitivities that we have. So instead of hiding from them, let's speak about them. Let's design with these sensitivities so that we can include more of us. Maybe more shy people, more introverts, more people with attention disorder will be included in the next design of the Zoom or whatever service is going to come. So it's not a bad thing. Actually, it's a great gift to be able. It's a great gift to be in the center of this conflict. And I know I'm talking from privilege. If I was in the middle of a war zone, going through what many people are going through, probably I wouldn't be speaking like that. But I owe my privilege, my power to contribute to what is coming next with my entire energy and joy and privilege so that I know I can't say I did my best. So coming back to your question, how can feminine leadership and principles can be more activated in a world of violence, in a world of conflict, patriarchy, da da da? It is exactly the time to activate that by paying attention to these little nuances starting from wherever we are. But I invite us not to speak about conflict with conflict, not to speak about violence with reducing our power. Let's at least start the conversation knowing that we are the chosen ones, we are the privileged ones to act on it so that we can encompass this opportunity not as a problem to fix, but as a great initiation for us to step into the leadership that we are initiated to. So who we are is the real question. Am I the witness? Am I the victim of it? Or am I here to co-create something beautiful out of this situation? I have one question that I ask myself, because there have been many times I have been impatient with the suffering of myself, of another. And then I was like, how are we going to end this? Then I changed my question to, like, how am I going to end this? How am I going to get out of this? To this question, which I invite us to at least to experiment with. Who would I have to become to be okay with this situation? Just try it. My first labor was 27 hours. The first 15 hours, I prayed to die. I wanted to die. It was a natural birth. It was so painful. Then something happened. I surrendered. I'm like, okay, this is happening for a reason. I'm not dying. So let's see. Who am I becoming? So that the next 12 hours was transformational. Alex, you were asking about one of my initial. I think this is the biggest one. By the end of the labor, when they gave May, my first daughter, in my arms, I understood why it hurted that much. Sometimes it hurts to prepare us to something amazing, like Rudy said. So let's appreciate the process. Let's appreciate the pain. Let's don't create more stories of suffering and violence by denying what is. This is what is. This is our creation. This is our birthing. We are all in it because we are all responsible from it. But we can change things by, at least from the beginning, participating differently, saying, this is what is supposed to do now. Now what? How am I contributing?
Yes, software is developed by men. So many people in the software industry, like developers, so many developers are men, right? And so it's men developing systems that will be used by women. So are they really developed for women? No, they're developed by men for men. So, you know, when you get stressed by a room full of Zoom because you're trying to figure out what's going on in each of the boxes, right, to see if everyone's okay, that doesn't, it wasn't designed for your, like, the feminine sensitive principle and of taking care of nurturing everyone. You know, interestingly, I grew up in a way that I had to be aware of what was going on around me. And I became also very sensitive to energies around me, not just in the home, but also because I'm multicultural and my father was a diplomat, and every 2 years we moved to a different country. So I was put from one day to another into a new country, new school, new culture, new friends. And so I had to become very aware of what's going on so I could fit in better.
Wow.
Yeah, so so, you know, I like this, like what's coming through to me is this feminine principle of creation, but also nurturing and gratitude. And it's like this deep, active engagement with life, like what I would call eros. You know, we are in deep engagement with life itself, with reality itself, somatically from the heart, not just from the mind. And you know, this brings me to AI because we're now all using AI, including me, and we know about generative AI. You know, these LLMs and these image creators. and they use up so much energy. And 95% of it is going to create AI content that no one wants. You know, like everybody just goes, and I'm guilty of this myself. Like it's so much easier. Just go to the LLM to help me write something. Do you think we can get from generative AI to regenerative AI? Like what would regenerative AI mean? And is there a way, is it the way we use AI, or is it the systems themselves that need to become more regenerative? What does that bring up for you?
First of all, I think yes. I always think yes. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. But when we say regenerative, I don't just think about energy usage. I also think about being in the right relationship, which means it's the energy. It is where the source is honored, where giving the credits to where the wisdom is emerging, how it's being used, how the business models are designed. Is it just a couple of companies getting all the advantage from the entire wisdom of the planet, or and artists and creatives and humanity of my child, your time, your energy, your experiences as the son of a diplomat? How are the business models are designed, how the communities are benefiting from, how the lands are being honored, and then how the data is being presented. Is it just some segments, how different countries, different cultures, different genders, not just human, more than human life is represented, how it is affecting the health and well-being of ourselves, of our children, of future generations? What type of evolutionary skills are we denying of ourselves by assigning our innate responsibilities to AI? And what are we getting lazy about? Because if you tell me, Janai, AI is going to grow your muscles, just like click on this tab, would I do that? I mean, probably you would try it, but is it going to give me the joy of deserving that? Is it going to give me the joy of the resilience of the mind coming through all the challenges that I don't want to do this, but I'm still doing it, so I'm becoming stronger? So when it comes to any sort of innovation, but especially with AI, it is good to ask, what are we looking forward to? Like, what is it that we dream of? What do we want to acquire as a humanity better than what is right now? Like, what skills are we developing? And what are we mindlessly leaving behind? Because most of the time, we don't look at what are we leaving behind. For example, when we developed fast food, we didn't really consider all these rituals that we can gather around the table, share our stories, intergenerational cultural exchange, the joy of cooking food. And while you are cooking the food, you pouring your breath, your energy into it, your love into it, getting in touch with the potato and the onion, and I'm wondering about the source of it, where you are buying it, what is the name of your farmer. This entire chain is lost. Now, many children don't know how potato looks because they are so used to eating potato chips that are ready, right? And then you disconnect from the source. So with regenerative AI, it is a lot about creating the right relationships with yourself, with each other, with the planet, with the past, with the future, being in the right relationship. And the energy, I have been listening to multiple partners. Actually, the way we are consuming energy at the moment can be transformed. Like, even to an extent that we can create energy positive AI applications that are gonna detect the energy leakages and can create efficiency systems. The question is, how are we gonna create energy, wisdom, economical circulation, monetary, financial value circulation as a priority more than competing for profit, more than competing? It's like a war zone. across countries now. Like I look at the country reports of AI. It's a defense strategy. It's a military strategy. Like first the military strategies come, and then comes if they mention about it, how it's going to contribute to energy systems and water. Not contribute, how it's going to affect, damage less, consume less water and energy systems. So how are we, again, architecting the mind, how are we going to prioritize life? But I'm going to come back to the first point that I made. There are two viruses. One, we think we are separate. Second, we think there is lack. If you keep on thinking about it, your answer is no. You're not going to do regenerative AI because you're not alive. You are obsessed with death. If you think you are separate and if you think lack, what are you going to do? You will try to survive because you are under the threat of death. But if you believe we are one and there is abundance, there is prosperity, then we understand that is a part of life and we are all here to make the best out of it. These are not some lofty ideals. It is time. As I said, we have the technology, we have the money, we have the humans, we have everything. So you are given a great hand. How are we going to play with this hand? Depends on how are we going to recode the rules of the game. You know what is a game? A game is something you do first together and to have fun. You don't play games to kill each other. It's not called game, it's called war. So are we playing a game or are we claiming war? I choose to play serious games. So that's why all my conversations is a yes, we can do that. Do you want to play? Or do you want to fight? So the intention is very important. There are billions of ways to create prosperity and energy positive systems with AI. Are you kidding me? Everything is possible. And there are also examples of it. We have partners around it. But the challenge of convincing people seems to be creating the impossibility. And maybe on my part, I changed my mind about it. I'm not in the business of convincing anymore because I'm convinced myself. It's a heaven, yes. We are going to do it. Or at least I'm going to die trying it, which is totally fine for me. Because I know, I went through that 27 hours of birthing. Even if you think you're dying and you pray for it, something more beautiful comes after. So let's go through the truth. Don't lose hope. Don't lose hope because you are never alone. One thing I know, we are never alone.
Yeah, and it takes less than 1%, to change the entire, system or next paradigm shift. So
I changed my own paradigm shift by just participating myself.
yeah, exactly.
100% success there.
Everybody starts doing that, it's like, yeah, we are moving to the next system. So we are well over the hour, I think, an hour, 15 minutes. One last question, Janai. So if you could plant one seed for your children and future generations, what would that seed be?
You are the one who is hoped for. You are the one who is expressing entire creation. You are the one that is loved and will always be loved. That would be the only seed I would like to. If I had one seed, that would be it. Because to me, that's the seed I keep on planting myself and keep on circulating my own soil to uncondition myself from the viruses. Yeah.
Well,
And I think also, Rudy and I, we have been married, we have been partners in crime, we have been best friends, we had our company, we have initiated so many amazing projects, we had so many adventures. You are the reason I moved to Ibiza, you have co-parented with me. Together, we tapped into a journey of medicine, of feminine, masculine. We had amazing adventures. We had opportunities, we had challenges, we had abundance, we have restrictions. So being here, looking at our 8 years of journey together and transitioning relationships and roles in each other's lives, I also want to wholeheartedly say that I feel so grateful and blessed. And one thing for sure, your most intimate relationships are the greatest mirrors to your life. And may you be blessed with abundant relationships that can keep on regenerating you and the world. So thank you so much, Rudy. I appreciate you a lot. Being in your podcast together with Alex, dear Alex, is such a joy, such a pleasure.
Well, thank you for your lovely words, Chennai. So it's the feeling is mutual, and I'm also incredibly grateful, for the times that we spent together. To me, there have been some of the most beautiful times in my life. Explorations, adventure. I think we explored our own limits and um, shadows, and then also breakthroughs and lights and whatever comes with it. It's been a beautiful journey, and I'm also really happy that you continue the journey of the seeds that we have been planting together. And I'm doing that also on my own because I know there's only abundance waiting. And, together with Alex, starting this podcast is also giving voice to all these people who are full of emergence and who are actually building and creating the next paradigm shift is already happening now, and it brings us so much joy and pleasure. So thank you for your wisdom, and I wish you lots of love and strength for the continuity of your journey. And thank you for participating in this podcast. Alex, do you have a last word?
Yeah, absolutely. What a beautiful way to end, what beautiful words. I feel privileged to be a part of this conversation with the two of you. Thank you for inviting me to participate in this conversation. Knowing that the two of you had been together, I wasn't quite sure of what my place or role was in this conversation, but you have both welcomed me so beautifully into this. And there's something that kept playing in my mind throughout this whole session are the words of Alan Watts. And he said, just like you were saying, we're playing a game, right? And Alan Watts said, look at life like a dance or like music. The point is not to rush to the end of the dance, like it's not a competition to see who can get to the end of the dance quicker, or who can listen to music quicker. The dance is the dance, right? The music is the music. And you're there participating, dancing, So this to me is the infinite game of life, is that we're all in relationship dancing with each other throughout. And, this is what I witnessed with both of you. And I feel privileged to be here. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Sinh no màu bên ấy cờ đây giờ